If you were with us last 2 weeks ago, you would have noticed the new segment on Business Movers, which we have just adopted, where we have the father of Philippine exports, Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis. It is a pleasure to welcome this week to the show Mr. Ernesto Ordonez as our business mover. We hope you will enjoy this one as much as the one last week.
In this day and age, when environmental concerns are top of mind of every responsible citizen, cement would seem a dirty but necessary product in every country. Embracing the challenges of reversing this negative image would be a gargantuan challenge that any ordinary mortal would not be up to, but not for Mr. Ernie Ordonez, President of the Cement Manufacturers Association of the Philippines, or CMAP. Daunting challenges are a way of life for this gentleman. You could say he eats them for breakfast. So, who is Ernesto M. Ordonez, CMAP President? On the day Business and Leisure visited Ernie Ordonez at his office, he was neck-deep in work, a given at any day, but he sat down for an animated discussion on his life.
Well, my dad is originally from Mexico, Pampanga, and my mommy is from Balayan, Batangas. But my mommy is Mistisang Bangus because her mother was pure English and her father was pure Filipino. They're from the Martinezes from Palayan, Batangas. My dad is a cardiologist and my mommy was a businesswoman who had a flower shop. But she would say that her main thing is to raise 3 kids. My brother is an educator. My sister is an entrepreneur, human resource development entrepreneur. And me, I'm a mixed-up kid.
Such is the brand of humor of Mr. Ordonez, self-deprecating at times but always good-natured and light-hearted. He grew up in Manila, but every summer he would go to Balayan, Batangas, and every Christmas the clan would go up to Baguio to celebrate the holidays. He seems to lean more towards his Batangas family, so we asked him if he spoke Kapampangan.
Nanuburi mo? Ikabiriko.
Mr. Ernesto Ordonez is known for his advocacy of helping out the country's farmers and fisher folk. But what did he really want to do when he was young?
I'm still young. And of course, my dream job was to bring justice to people like Martin Luther King or Andres Bonifacio. I prefer Bonifacio to Rizal, this fighter. So my dream job was to do something, no? And of course, my first way to do something for people, like Bonifacio or Martin Luther King, was to be a priest. So I entered the seminary, but they kicked me out after a week because they said I could do poverty and I could do chastity. I'm very chaste, but I could not do obedience because I felt God gave me a mind and I felt I wanted to do what I thought He wanted me to do. So I was not obeying. So they said, "We got to kick you out because you're not obedient." So then I went into life and I did many things.
As a young man, he looked up to the feisty Andres Bonifacio and John F. Kennedy, both outstanding leaders as role models in his student years. As to our question on where he spent his high school and college, here is his answer.
I went to grade school, high school, LaSalle, and college Ateneo, but they say that I did a coup d'etat because I was the first LaSalle person who became Ateneo Council President. But I did that because I was an activist at that time. That was the activism age, and I was an activist. And my kalaban was not an activist, so I won the election. Well, in college, I took economics, but you might say I minored in behavioral science, so my favorite was philosophy. But I took economics because it was easy. And then in graduate school, I did management science, which is operations research and management development. That was in Yale University. And then, as a matter of fact, I didn't want to do business then. And there were only 2 schools that offered management, not just business. There was MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Yale University. Yale had 20 students with 20 professors. I went there more specialized. Then I wanted to be more practical. So I went to a guy called Peter Drucker. He was in New York University. So I took a master's and a doctorate in business administration at New York University.
His college years at the Ateneo were fruitful, where he excelled in academics, figured well in student politics, and dabbled a little in sports.
My main love was trying to understand women. That's my extracurricular activity. Other than that, yeah, I'm glad to say that I wanted to be admired by women, so I tried basketball. I was too short and too lousy. But I'm glad to say I was in the NCAA championship team. We won champions, La Salle High School. Kaya lang table tennis, walang nanonood. And then in college, I was varsity swimming for a couple of short time. But they said that I was the lousiest, parang awa lang yata sa akin. So I quit.
Sports, it seemed, didn't take a liking to the young Ernie Ordonez, but the guy just wouldn't take this with a grain of salt. So when he went to the United States for further studies, he ran the 5-kilometer marathon and won the gold medal in the age category. In the United States, he pursued higher studies, and he found that his inclination was toward management. Actually, Mr. Ordonez got 10 scholarship offers, but he chose to take up the one in New York, finding the place alive and more to his liking.
I got fellowships. I got 2 fellowships, both management, MIT and Yale, and that's what I was talking about. It was a master's in management science, which is operations research and organizational development. And then after that, I got 10 scholarships from Columbia and all the rest. But I felt Peter Drug was good, and besides, New York City is New York. So I went to New York University, even though Columbia University gave me more money. I went to New York University because that's where the action is. And that's where I wrote my first play, which was, of course, not good, but it was presented there. That's where I acted in La Mama Theater. But of course, I was not good at that. But I like to try many things. And so it was Yale University and New York University.
A known activist and wanted for subversion in the dark age of martial law in the Philippines, Ernie Ordonez longed to go back to his country but worked for a while so he could save enough to come back to the Philippines.
My first real job was actually from Fuji Xerox. The Fuji Xerox guy from Japan came to the States, and then he saw me. And my godfather, sponsor, was the executive vice president of IBM, and he was my teacher. So Fuji Xerox hired me. Then I joined Xerox. But during this time, before I joined Xerox full-time, while I was doing my doctoral dissertation, I taught at Fordham University and at New York University. I'm glad to say in student rankings, I was number 2 in NYU and number 1 in Fordham, because when I teach, I act like an actor. So I make drama, so they rate me very highly. So, but I felt teaching would not allow me to do what I want to do. They've asked me about, making laws. I don't like to make laws. They asked me about teaching. I love to teach, but I like to move things. I'm a manager. So I joined Xerox. And then at Xerox, I was the best salesman in my team in New York City. I headed Northeast region from Miami to Puerto Rico in marketing. I was management development group in the whole world except Asia. I did a lot of things. So they said, my God, you go from finance to marketing to management, etc. I said, yeah, because for me, everything is just good. I want to go back to my country, right? And in fact, how I got back to my country is that I got an award to spend a whole year helping, I said, to the Philippines, but there was martial law. So I'm glad to say that the chairman of Xerox was the treasurer of the Democratic Party. What gives me real pleasure is the arts. I love watching movies and plays and dance. I'm an artist, but I'm not good at it. But I'm a good manager, but I prefer arts to management.
That is a revelation to many. What is a bigger revelation is his penchant and love for the movies and for dancing. From time to time, he fancies the sensuous lambada.
Well, I made a movie and it went to the US Academy Awards. It won all the awards here. It happened in 1999. Sarangola, Gudigi Davao, who won Best Actor, about 5 Best Actor awards. Il Portes was my director. We won Best Movie, Best Story, Best Script, Best Music, Best Child Actor, Best in Values, and Best in Nationalism. We won all that, and then we went to the US Academy Awards. But I heard we were top 10 in foreign language category, but we lost.
Even before martial law was lifted, the young Ernie Ordonez came back to the Philippines against the advice of his brother, who remained in the Philippines.
And of course, when I came back here, because I was warrant for arrest for subversion, I couldn't come back. But I'm proud to say that I'm the only activist in the States who came back when martial was lifted, and they gave me one-way passport with no exit. And on the way back, they told me they'd kill and torture me. So I made an arrangement so I was able to come back. And when I came back, I was told that my American education was not so good, so I had to take up agriculture if I wanted to help farmers in Fisherfolk, where my main loves. I love farmers in Fisherfolk. So I went to UP Los Baños and I studied. I was the oldest student in UPLB, taking a diploma in agriculture.
So who is Ernie Ordonez now?
I'm Chairman of Sustainable Development in Federation of Philippine Industries, which has 38 subsectors. And I'm glad cement, which is supposedly the worst polluting industry in the whole world because of its nature. We're the only Hall of Fame awardee in sustainable development. We're the best in 4 categories, 4 out of 4. That is corporate social responsibility. Our firms are very good. But more interestingly, we're the best in use of resources. We use our water, electricity very well. We're the best in management of waste. The waste that you throw out there, we can handle it. We handle even baby diapers, we can do it, right? And of course, health and safety.
In his contract with the cement industry leaders, he asked for some time for the farmers and fisherfolk.
So I'm now the chair of Alianza Agricultura. I spent 2 years full-time. After I fought what some consider a very corrupt government, and I resigned, even though I was promoted on page 1 to a good position. I quit because I kept my purity or my virginity. You know, in my all years in government, I didn't have lunch with anyone because my lunch is in my office. So there's absolutely no talk of corruption. Well, after that, I got big offers from corporations. I felt so bad for the farmers and fisherfolk that after I left government, I resigned. I spent years full-time.
His one great affiliation remained the farmers and fisherfolk of the country. He saw that with all the organizations here, there was no voice for the agricultural sector.
My biggest contribution was in rice production, as a matter of fact. What happened is that, and it was management in rice, because agriculture needs not only growth, but also business. What happened is that we're the center of rice in the world, and yet we're so poor in rice. It's because we have the technology for Los Baños, but Taiwan and Thailand copy, we don't have it. That's the problem. So I went into the Department of Agriculture. That's my mission. And since President Aquino took over and President Marcos left, there was a good guy there called Rafael Salas. He was good in rice, and we were doing very well. But for 13 years, until Senator Angara became Agriculture Secretary, we did not improve in the use of certified seeds, which increased productivity. When he came in, he doubled it from 300,000 to 700,000 hectares, and he gave 600 million to make it happen, and he did. When I came in, he went from 300 to 700,000 hectares, right? In 1 year, because he gave 600 million. When I came in, they brought the budget down to 400 million, and they said, well, 400 million, therefore your 600,000 must become 450,000. Kumonti na. I said, no, I'll double it. How will you double it? Management. I was the one who brought in ISO 9000 with the Secretary Joe Concepcion. I was the one in charge of that. And management means having management systems. And I want the Department of Agriculture to do that more, because it will not only improve management, it will corrupt corruption, because with ISO 9000, you'll know what comes in, right? And I was really sad to leave agriculture. That's the saddest moment of my life. I was promoted so I would not be a hindrance to their getting money, which I think they should not get, right? In other words, I fought corruption. And if you'll notice, when I left, that is the time the corruption started. Because when I was there, they could not do it. I was stopping it.
After spending some time with the Department of Agriculture, he moved to the Department of Trade and Industry, and while with DTI, CMAP sent feelers for him to join the industry.
You're hiring me, I'd like to let you know my role isn't executive director, it's president, which means that I don't do everything you say. We got to have a union of visions. Your vision is you have to make money for your head companies in Europe and Mexico. My vision, my people should get the jobs and they should learn all your skills. So with that arrangement, let's do it, and you must give me a little time for my farmers and fisherfolk. So in my contract, that's there. I have some time for my farmers and fisherfolk. And I'm glad to say these people are very good.
Mr. Ordonez thanks the multinational companies for greatly improving our awareness of the environment. Life in the Philippines goes on for Ernesto Ordonez, president of CMAP and friend of the Filipino farmers and fisherfolk. He thanks his parents for his good education, which has brought him success in the field of management.
I think I want to be remembered as a person who thanked God and the people around him for giving him so many gifts that he doesn't deserve. And I think it is but just that you give back some of what you received. So I want to be remembered as someone who appreciates what he got and tried to give back to others. But not only that, it is someone who believes in God and fellow man. There is something that drives me. It's the Our Father. It's not Our Father who art in heaven. He's everywhere. It's Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. What's heaven? Heaven is happiness and justice. Here, His will should be here on earth. It should be here on earth. It's not here. Heaven is not here. Justice is not here. Peace is not here. But He wants us to have it here. We are His tools. Ask God for grace, but ask God to please give us the grace to do what He wants. We should not just fight. We should help.
And his advice to future managers?
You should have a passion to serve others. Don't think of you rising all the time. Think of serving others. Think of learning as much as you can. This world is changing. You have to learn all the techniques. If you want to be a good instrument of God, if you want to be a good man, you have to learn. And you must learn, you must use. Right? You must use. And you must use for others. The man is one who doesn't look at himself, he looks at everything. Then he brings them all together to achieve an objective. But that objective should be to serve others and to bring God's will on earth.
Mr. Ernesto Ordonez was given the Presidential Golden Heart Award from the Office of the President of the Philippines, was one of the 10 outstanding young men awardees from JC's and the Jerry Ross Foundation in the Gawi Award for Outstanding Contribution from the Philippine Agricultural Economics and Development Association. The Ateneo de Manila University awards one distinguished alumnus, the Gawad para sa bukod tanging paglilingkod at kahusayan every year, and Mr. Ordonez was one such alumnus. And the Xerox Corporation of the USA recognized his outstanding contribution through the Award of Excellence. He is married to Sylvia Ordonez, with whom he has 3 children, a boy who is now in college and twin daughters who are still in high school.
To Mr. Ernie Ordonez, it all boils down to his long-time passion, and that is justice. We hope you enjoyed watching that one, because I certainly did.